Ride with the mob. Alhamdulillah. Check in with me. And do the job. Ferg is the name. Ben Baller did the chain. Tano for the watch. Prezi playing Jane. I go dump up on the block. Hit the... Is that Griffey? Yeah. Hello, everyone. Hello, Dizzle McFizzle. Hello, Login715. Good to see you. I hope everyone's doing good. It is a cold, probably. I don't even know what the weather's like because I didn't go out and get a white monster this morning. I love my damn white monsters. It is 2 degrees in Montreal today. I am enjoying yet more snow. It's set to freezing rain later, apparently. But yeah, what can you do? What can you do? It feels like 1 degrees up in here. But yeah, hope you're all good. I hope you're all having a nice day. Feels weird. Is anyone here? Oh. Hello, Dizzle and Login and Chris. Hello, Lemon Mint Cat. Good to see you as always. Do you like the little salute thing? This is the final Montreal stream. How exciting. To get me back to the other setup. But I'll miss Montreal. I love it here. Hello, Dizzle Fizz. Oh, yeah. Elusive Panda. Hello. I wonder if anyone new is over here from the TikTok stream. Although it seems to be a bit slow, people joining straight away, which is odd to me. We'll see. It's 32-ish Fahrenheit. Yeah, it's cold. It is cold up in here. Chris with the girthy white monster. Thanks for that one. Hello, Hermio. How washed do you think the US is getting from the Iran? I think that this is disastrous. I think that this is just all a fucking disaster. I think that this is a terrible situation for the American empire. I think Trump has continually undermined the American empire and shown its limits more than anyone else ever has. I think we are going to be smashed. What, America? I mean, the problem is they're going to have to pull back from Ukraine, which is obviously a difficult position with all of its allied nations. I mean, Mark Rutte seems to fucking love Trump and whatever the hell Trump's up to. But aside from that, I can't imagine Europe is best pleased about all of this, which we in the USA deserve. The gas prices are rising, which is kind of insane. Blue is not on fire. Hello, Elastix Cat. Who the hell is Lastix? Who the hell is that? I just did a TikTok live, which is kind of an oddity. Thanks for anyone who was there or anyone who's come over from that. It's always interesting doing one. I think I'm going to start multi-streaming on TikTok, but I'll just be streaming. It won't be as... I don't know. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. Maybe I'll start doing a tiny bit on there. I just like... The problem is you debate and the people that people are interested in watching are just some mental guy using the F slur, and it's like, I don't know if I like that. Hello, Trap Beans. I would say I'm a spicy Brit. Don't call me spicy. I wouldn't say I'm a spicy Brit, sorry. We don't have the ability to arm the necessary amount of divisions to keep the Strait open. No, it's also just a really, really, really stupid idea because, look, if you just look at a map of Iran, people are always focused on Iran being, like a big place and, like, mountainous and stuff. But also another really, really, really important thing about, another really important thing about Iran is it has a huge coastline. It's not actually so simple as just, getting rid of one bit and then everything's fine. Hi, Elab. Good to see you. Hello, Nabil. Hello, everyone who's here. TikTok Live was crazy. Yeah, I mean, it's also just a way of, like, there's so much news going on right now. I think a smarter thing that I should have been doing, but I haven't been whilst I've been here because I haven't wanted to go live as much because it's harder to prep and stuff for the time I want to stream. I kind of thought, like, I should have been on there because it was a great time to bring people over to here and, like, talk, not even do debate stuff, like answer questions about Iran. I wasn't expecting a TikTok live at all. It's because I was watching someone do debates last night and I was like, God, I want to debate this person, but they wouldn't add me in because they were so stupid. But yeah. Do you think NATO will join the war? I don't know. Rutte says one thing, the rest say another. I think also, by the way, I've literally just seen this. Part of me wonders how cucked Europe can be. Because, read this. European nations gathered $750 million to buy US weapons for Ukraine, gave the US the money, and now the US, now Trump refuses to give them the weapons. What? Oh, by the way, the title is categorically clickbait. The title is literally clickbait because Iran is obviously not begging for negotiations. Trump is begging for negotiations. And it's not all... Like, the thing is it isn't all down to, like, the destruction of, like, you know, America really suffering. Like, America can obviously exact a hugely high price from the Iranians, can just bomb the shit out of them and just make life... can make life so tough for people. But ultimately, the situation is tough because the world economy is bigger than just America, and America can't replace Iran. America can't replace the whole Middle East as a supplier of oil and gas and stuff. It's not possible. America has a lot, but you've got to think about proximity and stuff. Which cryptic White House tweets? By the way, I think there might be a ground invasion this weekend. The White House is live right now. What are the White House posting that's cryptic? Oh, I have seen this, yeah. I don't know what that's about. I have no idea. Sorry if some of you thought you were getting a notification. You're not. I have just seen them. They are weird. I remember people talking about them. I don't have any strong thoughts. I think the administration thinks it's a lot smarter than it is, when in reality it's staffed by really mental people, like really unwell people. Is it Nowruz? It's already been Nowruz, no? But yeah. What do you even say? Nowruz? Nowruz Khub? Was that Morse code? No. It's me pinging it's me just playing it to see what they're saying. Sorry. And it sounds like a notification, but that's just the noise you get if you have an Apple phone. I don't know if any of you have one. But if you have it off silent, I don't know anyone who has their phone off silent or vibrate or whatever it is. Look at wait. Look at this one. Look at this one. Trump, not sure we are willing to make a deal. 17 minutes ago. Trump, Iran is begging to make a deal, not me. Trump, they're great negotiators. Fuck me. Oh, Jesus Christ. No, I know what Nowruz means. I studied Farsi, and we always had Nowruz at the Arabic Institute at Exeter. It was always a very Kurdish-focused Nowruz, but it was always very nice. Sky News has a report, is the US fighting a holy war on Iran? Hello, Jules. And guys in the TikTok say US and Israel are winning. Because they're not living in reality, and they're living in a reality where killing bad people makes everything fine, but that's not how the world works. And it's like, people are like, oh, what are the options? Diplomacy, diplomacy, especially in the context of what they're complaining about, nuclear weapons. You know, if you're talking about nuclear weapons, okay, the way you would have got rid of them was so easily through negotiations, but they didn't do that. I don't know. I don't know. People who think the US winning are living in delusional worlds.
Evil.
Okay, Sky News is just talking to people from the reddest state, talking about how young Christians or Christians in general seem to think that there's a holy war going on right now. I think, by the way, I think the project's over. I think the project's by the way, look at this.
Overnight in operation. So no Navy leader. Now that here's the thing about the media, though. If President Trump had not acted, you'd be screaming, "Why not, Commander?"
Christ Almighty! I reckon he's dying
IRGC's
soon.
Navy commander was killed overnight in operation. So no Navy.
I reckon he's dying soon. I think that's my prediction. I've got right that he's going to die pretty soon. Defo ground invasion this weekend with the Israel ceasefire. Yeah. Also, I think that the other main thing involving the ground invasion and all of this is that the negotiating positions of both groups are so different. Like, the negotiating positions of Iran are like, you have to end the assault on Lebanon, you have to, respect us, and America just won't fucking do that. We'll go through those later. Man needs to take a good long nap. I don't think it's fixable, I just think he's too old, and I think kind of the charade has gone on for way too long, and I think at a certain point, the charade breaks down, and you can't really sit here and pretend that this is some guy having like a fucking normal one, really, at all. But on the ground invasion, the number one reputable news source in the world, Axios, is telling us that the Pentagon is ready for massive final blow of Iran war. Ugh. These are apparently the plans. So the 4 major options that are going to be the final blow, none of which will be the final blow, by the way, are invading or blockading Kharg Island, Iran's main oil export hub, invading Larak, an island that helps Iran solidify its control of the Strait of Hormuz. The strategic outpost hosts Iranian bunkers, attack craft that can blow up cargo ships, and radars that monitor movements in the strait. Seizing the strategic island of Abu Musa, two smaller islands which lie near the western entrance to the strait and are controlled by Iran, but also claimed by the UAE. Blocking or seizing ships that are exporting Iranian oil on the eastern side of the Hormuz Strait. So, I would like to understand how any of these are the final blow that will cripple the Iranian government. I think the most important thing is, do we really think that people in the Iranian government right now are fighting for money? That anyone who is still fighting the US is doing this for, whatever the salary is of an Iranian soldier? Because I would hazard a guess that the vast majority of those in the Iranian military still, with all of the risks involved in that, you kind of think that people would only do it if they were committed to the project, And I think that all of the stuff Trump is doing is just going terribly. I'll pin the link, thank you. Hello, Acid, hope you're good. Hope you're good. Hope you're having a nice day. Have you seen the propaganda of the UAE and Qatar are doing? Even Al Jazeera is spewing out Zionist propaganda. Well, Al Jazeera is Qatari state media. Alright, Al Jazeera is going to be spewing out that stuff. I am actually not going to lie. I fucking loved the Emirati ambassador, Youssef Al-Otaiba, talking about the UAE standing up to Iran. By the way, archive pages seem to be working a bit better. The UAE stands up to Iran. The war requires a conclusive outcome. So this is Youssef Al-Otaiba. I think he cheated on his wife or some shit. I don't know. Who cares? Anyway. Give dogs cigarettes. I love your name. Thank you. They really wrapped up the Qatari ankle. Of course they ramped up the Qatari angle. Was not prepared for my hairstyle. Thank you. I haven't had a shower today, so my hair is looking fire, and I didn't go to sleep with wet hair again, so it's kind of positive. I really need to shower after this. But thank you for shouting out my haircut. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It was always going to be expected. But this contains a piece of absolute gold. Where is it? Here it is. This isn't the war we wanted. Until hours before the first strike, Emirati officials undertook intensive diplomatic efforts from Tehran to Washington. We made clear to the Iranians that in the event of war, UAE territory and airspace wouldn't be used for strikes on Iran. We knew that we would be Iran's first choice of targets, not only because we are so near, but because we are so different. The UAE is a modern, progressive, prosperous Muslim nation that delivers for its people. We empower women and welcome all faiths. The UAE is the argument Iran can't win, the idea it can't accept. You heard it here first, folks, from the ambassador, the UAE ambassador to Washington, Yusuf Al-Otaiba. Iran is mad that they're empowering women over in the UAE, so it's attacking them. That's it. That's what this is about. That's what this is about. There's also a bit here. Wait, let me see if I can find it. Listen to this. It is blockading energy shipments and supply lines for fertilizer and manufacturing and threatening theme parks and cultural sites worldwide through its proxy network. What? I don't get this one. I don't know why they wrote this. Why would theme parks be a major concern? By the way, it also reads like an advert. It's really funny. This includes the UAE will endure. We will absorb the shock and accelerate economic diversification with new initiatives in artificial intelligence, renewable energy, life sciences and tourism. This includes the world's largest data center complex, a new Guggenheim museum, and the Middle East's first Disney theme park. What is this? What is this? Yeah, by the way, on the bases, also quite a funny legacy that these guys' fathers just didn't actually want bases on their land, but their children are so pathetic and obsessed with supporting Israel in the West that they just, Israel and America, I should say, that they're literally willing to have these bases without qualm and not see the problem with them. I'd have closed those bases. If you're standing with Iran, maybe get rid of these bases. Like, sorry, how do you think that the Iron Dome works? How do you think that, the US shooting down missiles for Israel works? End it. Get rid of them. If you didn't want to be involved in a war, you would take them out. That's, by the way, what not being in a war looks like. You know? That's what, Switzerland was doing during the Second World War. The pick-me Arab nation thinks anyone is going to buy their justification to be a Western lapdog. It's their whole shtick. Their whole fucking shtick is going, we're progressive and tolerant. Iranians aren't. That's why we're the best in the Middle East. And it's like, what is Emirati tolerance? What is Emirati tolerance? What, going and doing genocide? My grandfather rode a camel, I ride a Ferrari. My son will ride a Ferrari, but my grandson will ride a Mickey Mouse teacup. Hell yeah. My son will go to the Disney Gaza genocide theme park. Oh yeah, something to be proud of there. The UAE is doing taqiyya for real. I don't know. I don't even think it's really just that. It's like the fake tolerance of the UAE is such utter bullshit. Is this you just sold because, put frankly, Westerners are really dumb? Being an Epstein state in the Gulf. The UAE is the most Epstein state, yeah, because Shahar Abdul Haq was, the main Epstein connection in another Gulf country. Qatar's got a little bit of it, but I would say probably the most powerful individual that Epstein had a really long-term friendship with was, I'd say that the really, 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 really powerful person was, Oh my god, the DP World CEO, whose name slips my mind. Shit. But it was him, yeah. Okay, UAZ, United Arab Zionists. See, I don't think you're wrong about that. My dog demands to touch grass. Fuck. UAE toilet girls, look it up. Yeah, I know, I've heard about this. I don't know, fuck the UAE and fuck this stupid article that's written for morons. Fuck this Ataiba guy as well. You know Ataiba is like the hero of like the worst people imaginable. US like jock policy bros. Cheating scandal. People are like, yo, this guy's epic. He also was in I think he was in a scandal. Oh, The Intercept wrote about it. Ryan Grimm. I'm not entering my email here. The women were brought into Abu Dhabi apartment in a bias. Okay, anyway, yeah, he's a bit of a scummy guy. Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem, that's it. Dubai Port World CEO. World War III was fought with nukes. World War IV will be fought with Mr. Beast theme parks. Exactly. Also, funny here, they got a picture of Dubai World, DP World, excuse me. Which is literally the Jeffrey Epstein, the Jeffrey Epstein thing. I also think saying the Epstein class stuff is so funny, by the way. It really is. By the way, apparently the Iranian hacking group Handala have just sent this to Lockheed Martin employees. Your credentials as a senior engineer at Lockheed Martin have just been broadcast on Iranian television. You have 48 hours to return home. After that, keep your eyes on the sky. Chocolate will be falling. What? Bizarre. But they've leaked a multitude of people who work for like Lockheed Martin. They let the 2 terrorists that attacked the ambulances go. Did they? I don't know about all of that. It just seems odd. I saw one of the most bizarre things was the text. Like apparently they called like Palestine, which is really odd in Arabic. They called it like the land of Israel, which would be really odd for like an Iranian resistance group or like a Shia resistance group. Why shouldn't I say DP World to this audience? Lockheed Martin is a weapons manufacturing company, so that's a +972 number. So I would assume that that's either being sent from an Israeli number. But Lockheed Martin are like, do they make F-35s? I think they do. Yeah, they make F-35s. So basically, an F-35 needs to be serviced, and people who are flying F-35s need to know how to do it and use the equipment and the system properly. And so you need like engineers there who are able to do it. And so these people just work in Israel. So they're like Lockheed Martin employees that are just based in Israel. Lockheed plant up the street from me. Gosh. Lockheed's not big in the UK. It's more BAE Systems here. BAE Systems is Britain's homegrown war machine. But yeah, I mean, I don't know how true that is. Handala have released some pretty crazy stuff. If you're not familiar with them, I'd look into them. They're actually responsible for releasing most of Ehud Barak's emails, and also they have done other things like leaked Naftali Bennett's phone number, which had Ben Shapiro and Naz Daly's phone numbers in it, which I wonder if you could call, but I don't know, and I wouldn't show that on stream because I have such deep respect for them. By the way, actually, just speaking of that ambulance incident, I also, fucking Canada, you can't look at Instagram like accounts of like Declassified UK. So, if any of you don't know about this, a few days ago there was like this sort of pro-Israel mob, and this guy who was calling a Palestinian journalist a dog and telling him to go back to Qatar is actually a police officer and he's like an Israeli, seemingly an Israeli Jewish, or at least a Jewish guy. I don't know about Israeli, so we'll leave that there. But a Jewish police officer who was saying to the like Al Jazeera journalist, calling them a dog and saying go back to Qatar. He's also been caught posted an image on Twitter saying fuck Palestine, adding the shithole is full of inbred Islamist parasites and terrorists. Responded saying that Robinson is telling the truth, as in Tommy Robinson, and that Israel will justly finish the war in Gaza. Fuck me. That's a police officer in the UK. Maybe ACAB is real. I'd call Nas Daily and tell him how he is an embarrassment to humanity. Yeah, I mean, I think he is. I think he is an embarrassment. I think Nas Daily is a fucking horrible guy. I think he's awful. Yeah, I don't know. I think fuck this guy. Also, once again, just Matt Kennard is pointing out that 2,068 British citizens served in the IOF just during the war into the genocide in Gaza, which is just repugnant.
Yet building.
Sorry, I was watching an old clip of Douglas Murray saying, Muslims loathe the Palestinians. Muslims hate them. They hate the Palestinians. They're wicked and evil peoples. I really wish I was a streamer during, whilst like in October 2023, and I started then rather than now. I wish I'd done this for more, rather than TikTok for so long. TikTok feels so silly and pointless at times, just because of how restrictive it is, whereas this, you can actually build something. You can build like a platform. I got suspended from Twitter for saying something pretty unhinged to Tommy Robinson. Oh no, don't say mean things to Tommy Robinson. Don't say mean things. Don't say mean things. Don't tell us what it is. What is an MIC? Made in Chelsea queer? Is that what it means? Unless USA uses bioweapons like the ones they sold to Saddam in the Iraq-Iran war, they have no chance. Fine, you keep it. Chris, what is that hair? Did you just wake up? Why are you so obsessed with my hair today? No, I didn't just wake up. Fuck off. I'm a growing lad. I can do as I please with my fucking hair. Sophie, good to see you. But yeah, I forgot what I was going to say. What difference would a chemical weapon make? Like, the chemical weapons Saddam used were effective because they were such a terrifying thing. And even later on, they were... and then later on, they said... later on, they had gas masks and stuff, so you could deal with it. So... yeah, I mean, it would be horrifying to use a chemical weapon on a whole inhabited city, which is something that Saddam didn't use, but also he might have done. It's actually one of the reasons that Khomeini ended the war. Miss Chris's long-form YouTube videos. I might start making YouTube videos again. Isaac and I have been talking about a little project to maybe do something together, but yeah, if we're being annoying about it. Yeah, okay, I suppose you are right that all weapons are like based in chemical reactions, right? Like almost all know. It's like when Walter White says everything is chemistry. Wow. But yeah, what I mean by like a chemical weapon, or what I assume they're talking about, is I think Saddam used mustard gas a lot, which is really, really horrible. Because I don't think mustard gas kills you instantly quite often, and you feel like bad, and then you feel okay, and then you sort of die. Sorry? Look at what I'm being recommended. 5 Nights at Epstein's is sweeping through classrooms in the US. This is published by Bloomberg. Jesus fucking Christ. Obviously making light of a very horrible guy. And unless you're making light of him to fucking joke about the US empire... I'll probably found a new YouTube channel though, I think, or I'd have to clear everything off here, which I really don't want to do. I might turn this into Chris Kunzler Live and then start an essay channel. What is 5 Nights at Epstein's? Hold on, let's have a look. What happens in 5 Nights at Epstein's? Oh my god, this is like a Five Nights at Epstein's all jump scares. What on earth? I mean, it's pretty obvious what this is going to be. It's just Five Nights at Freddy's reskinned with Jeffrey Epstein's face. Fucking bizarre. Agent Orange was also awful, long-term and short-term effects. Yeah, Agent Orange was a defoliant though, right? Like it wasn't, like it is a chemical weapon, but it's not one that was like directly made to harm humans, no? Whereas like mustard gas is, I think, or there were some other ones. Sarin gas. I don't know what sarin gas actually is. Is an extremely toxic, used as a chemical weapon. Sarin is a nerve gas, no? Exposure can be lethal and at very low concentrations, and death can occur within 1 to 10 minutes of... Wow, 10 minutes you die if you inhale sarin gas. Fucking hell. Must be awful. But maybe if the US used like a weapon like that on a city, it may do it. I was watching some odd film called like... Oh, what was it called? Time and Judgment or something? It was some 80s film about like... And it mentioned when Mussolini was using gas on Ethiopians. It was an interesting film. Yeah. Obviously, sorry, excuse me. Obviously, Agent Orange has super disgusting effects and causes birth defects and cancers and stuff, but it wasn't like... Mustard gases are specifically used to be dropped on people, and I think Saddam used sarin. I think Saddam actually did use sarin gas. Yeah, I mean, Saddam used a... In the Halabja massacre, apparently Saddam used a mixture of sarin tabun, which I've never even heard of, nerve agent of the orangose phosphate family, mustard gas, tabun, VX gas is a highly synthetic chemical compound. Fucking hell. You wouldn't want that happening, would you? Awful stuff. Yeah. White phosphorus is also awful. Oh, apparently yesterday Iran hit Israel's white phosphorus plant, or where white phosphorus is manufactured. I don't know if any of you have seen the video. Oh, right. Tabun is similar to sarin. I'm just quickly going to say that I'm live. So hold on. Hold your horses. Did Germany sell Saddam? Yes, Germany. It was a couple of German companies. I think they got in trouble for it. I think some of them went to prison, but I don't actually recall fully. I read about that so long ago. I just read a bit about the Iran-Iraq war recently. Strategically muted. Yep. I am intentionally muted. Behave, lads. We are Charlie Kirk, we carry the flame. We'll fight for Jeffrey Epstein. Only a Dutch guy went to prison as far as I know for those bioweapons. Ah, really? It wasn't IG Farben who made them. That would have been insane if it was IG Farben who actually made them. You know... Okay, right. Just deploying the tactical mutes. Exactly. I closed the container, threw off my gloves and goggles, and had to run up the flight. What are you talking about? Wait, what? One time I accidentally knocked over a chemical I work with. I did 3 years of graduate chemistry, and the vapor built up in the storage container, so when I opened it, I breathed it and it was bad. Fuck, that is awful. Always love when Chris sings. Thank you. Oh my god, yeah, I enjoyed that Drewski Erica Kirk thing. That was fucking crazy. Can I show that? Probably. I don't know. Yeah, by the way...
On your feet!
I can't, it's got music on. Whoever put on the makeup is insane. He kind of does actually look like Erica Kirk, as I'm sure some of you have seen. I'm sorry if that was loud. It's really hard to judge whether the volume is loud on this fucking thing. Sorry, I'm looking at photos of Shahid Abdulhaq for some reason, which I need to turn off. Kind of crazy. This is Drewski on the left. This is Drewski, and this is Erica Kirk. I can't tell the difference. It's ow, ow, ow. I just ran over my foot with the thing. Kind of crazy though. It's kind of crazy that this was real. Do you remember those few days after where everyone said that the world was going to be changed forever, and that because Charlie Kirk died, the US government was going to crush everything, and then they just did nothing because no one gave a shit about him, and it turned into a meme. Fair play to like the early Kirkers as well, the people talking about it.
It is
meme
utterly ridiculous.
at the start, you know, the people who are brave enough. Tanis Rule of All, thank you for becoming a member. Shout out. Lemon Mint Cat, thank you, Poker. I am very glad to be okay. When I was a teaching assistant, no one was injured. Oh, that's nice. I'm glad to hear. This is a trick. They are both Drewski. I mean, they do kind of both look like Drewski. Hold my poodle. Oh, yeah. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Oh my fucking god. I'm just looking at people say like Rory Stewart would have been a great Prime Minister. I don't know if you know who he is. I don't think he would have been. I don't think he would have been. Right, what are we talking about? Okay, so Trump has been producing some bangers, by the way. Oh, actually, quickly, I wanted to just show you a video, which is quite good. Loads of people have been talking about this video. This is Marco and Jones said, this is a really important piece on how US imperialism works. I hope it's okay volume-wise. I'm sorry, I literally couldn't tell you what the volume.
One of the richest oil fields in the world is in southern Iraq. It's called Majnoon, which means crazy in Arabic. But what's equally crazy is that the revenue from this oil field and others like it is controlled by the United States. America doesn't own them. It doesn't pump the crude, but more than 2 decades after its invasion, it retains influence over Iraq's most important source of income. This has real-world consequences for Iraqi politics and the economy, and on how Baghdad balances domestic interests with US expectations. After the 2000...
By the way, it's really funny how, you know, Trump's whole shtick is, oh, we didn't control the oil, so, like, that's bad. But this is just objectively better than pumping the oil yourself or like actually possessing the fucking oil field. It's categorically a way better way, to be operating. Because you gain control over a country which is worth way more than a few $1 billion to the US government, and you're able to manipulate that country's politics. That's actually way better, like when you think about it, for the US government. It's not good, obviously, but yeah.
2003 invasion of Iraq, the US imposed a new financial structure on energy revenue, mandating that proceeds from oil and gas sales be paid into the Development Fund for Iraq, or DFI. The fund was based at the New York Federal Reserve Bank, so Iraqi oil revenue remained outside Iraq. The DFI eventually became an account of the...
But, like, it's 100% colonial theft. I hate the term neo-colonial. I really hate the term, You're looking very disenfranchised French scientist today. Thank you. I hate the term neo-colonial because it implies colonialism ended, and it didn't really. But it is sort of like this kind of like the way in which you control a country via controlling its oil fields, which is seemingly actually the same thing that Trump wants to do with Venezuela and stuff. This is objectively better than just, you know, stealing all the oil and managing it yourself, because if you steal it all and manage it all yourself, it becomes a target. But because it's actually really important for Iraq, it can't really be a target, you know?
Central Bank of Iraq. Legally, this money belongs to Iraq, but operationally, it continues to pass through American financial and regulatory systems, meaning the US controls the financial plumbing through which Iraqi oil revenues flow. On paper, this doesn't violate Iraqi sovereignty, but in practice, it gives the US a semi-permanent hold on Iraq's economy. From the start, the spending of these funds was plagued by poor oversight. Between 2004 and 2007, the US Department of Defense did not properly account for $2.6 billion of the $9.1 billion.
Like, where does that go? Like, what happens to 2.6 billion that you just lose or don't account for? And also, by the way, this is why I'm saying, like, you know, this is such a measly amount of money for the US government. Of course, this is like, you know, $9.1 billion across 3 years is a lot of money relative to, like, the amounts of money that most human beings possess. However, simultaneously, like, for the US government, you know, that's spending trillions, is a more relevant distinction than colonialism versus neocolonialism. I just don't think neocolonialism is just like a real thing. I think it just also implies that there was like a break in the colonial period when colonialism was really never static and non-dynamic. You know, colonialism like had a multitude of different innovations and changes like long before. Like indirect rule created by the British was probably, you know, one of the biggest innovations really. It goes to buying Panini football stickers to fill up the World Cup album for this year. Wow. No, British colonialism developed into
it is utterly ridiculous.
Neocolonialism. Have you seen the Egg's old post condemning Israel? I have actually seen this. If any of you haven't seen this, Ethan Klein's employee girl with a microphone was like speaking out against like the gay people being thrown off roofs and like the idea that gay people shouldn't support Palestine. It's actually fucking crazy because it does kind of prove to you how sort of just supporting Ethan Klein can actually radicalize you into being a Zionist. Because, by the way, just a lot of people don't know Jewish people, and Ethan Klein's like sort of claims that he was you know, attacked by everyone out of just anti-Jewish hatred sells to like people who sycophantically cling to him this notion that he's, you know, some kind of fucking poor victim. I don't know, and seemingly that's what's influenced it. It's fucking insane. It's fucking insane. I don't like the term slush fund. I don't, because when I hear slush fund, I think of like a slushy, and I like those. But slush fund, I don't know if I like it so much. He gave the last name Klein a bad name. I mean, I guess Moses... No, Moses isn't Moses Klein, because I was going to say, whatever Ethan's done, Moses Klein was up to some heinous shit.
Nearly a third of Iraq's oil revenue for that period. That's a...
I'm sorry to just ignore this. This is a really important video and we will get back to it. I just want to say, though, on queer rights and when it's used to demonize people, yeah, I mean, yeah, but I also think that there's a big problem to do with, you know, like the mainstream gay movement in general that kind of just ended with, that it was just kind of this thing that ended with gay marriage for a lot of people. And there are quite a lot of gay people who now use their identity as a means to bash trans people, which is fucked, you know. And they're like, there's this Welsh guy on TikTok who's gay, and he's like, I'm gay, but I'm not an LGBTQ plus trans whatever gay person. I'm not one of those. And as a gay man, isn't it crazy? I also always get recommended this gay guy who's like, I don't like gay culture, and so I started the Straight Man Gay Club, where we act like straight men in the gay club. And it's like, what? Who is this for? By the way, straight men who play rugby, they acting gay as hell. They acting gayer than most gay men. So, yeah. When was the last time you drank a slushie? I can't even remember my last. Like a few weeks ago, not long ago. Not long ago at all. I'm sure some of you would recognise him. He's a fucking idiot. He's like one of my friends from university. Her brother is a TikToker with like a decent amount of followers, and he always speaks. He always calls out this guy. Hold on, I'll see if I can find it because it is actually fucking funny. Hold on, Ruben. Here we go. I think I found it. Let me just show you a video of this guy, because some of you will probably find it funny.
Cis women being called cis women.
His name's Kian Tamblin. I'm sorry to detract from the video of Iraq. I can't stop thinking about this guy. And I just want to show you how good my...
Transform.
Things that the crazy left woke people say to me as a gay guy who's not super woke when it comes to the whole LGBTQA plus he, she, we, ze, zer, they, them, vegan, vegetarian, non-binary, working at Starbucks with a septum piercing and a bobble haircut, a monster kind of addiction in one hand, and sertraline in the other alphabet mafia circus community. I have a degree in psychology, let's deep dive this shit. First of all, is the blatant narcissism? No. Narcissists want you to have an opinion as long as it agrees with their ideologies. You're only allowed to think for yourself as long as it agrees within the parameters of their mindset.
Okay.
For example...
by the way, I think he just said he majored in psychology. I don't give a shit if you majored in psychology.
I'm not
You're
someone
a
who really...
fucking idiot. There's a really quality video where he says, I think I'm going to vote for reform. They sound great. I think I'm going to vote for reform.
Here are my controversial opinions on Reform UK and politics. I think Reform should win. I do. Let's get...
I think Reform should win. I do think Reform should win. Because they don't like trans people. It's bloody brilliant. I feel like that had music on, so I probably shouldn't have listened to that. I'm definitely getting a copyright strike. I don't know. It's just like, yeah, I don't know. It's fucking crazy. I think it's also... The essay Homo Zion speaks a lot about this. There was like a specific movement to make, you know, the sort of like historic gay progressive movements to be about like you know to be about trying to just being about trying to get gay marriage, and that should be it. When, you know, it should have also been, it was something much bigger. It was about the liberation of gay people. It's very obvious that, by the way, most homophobic tropes have just been transposed from gay people onto trans people now. Yeah, the sertraline LGBT working at Starbucks with a septum piercing. Oh my gosh, he's got a septum piercing and he's working at Starbucks. I feel like voting far right because you hate trans people is kind of stupid. Every party hates trans people. That is a good point. I think if you know what, if you are someone who hates trans people, there's quite a lot of good stuff going on in politics in every party, in every mainstream Western country. To a gay white cis men are white and cis first, let alone where their class interests. Like, yeah, you're probably right about that, and that's a good way to phrase it. Cuba should be an example to the rest of the world when it comes to LGBTQ plus rights. Why? What particularly about Cuba do you think should be an example of that? Why don't you talk about being gay in countries like Iran, Iraq, or even Gaza? Why is the left so silent about this? I feel like you are a person whose IQ correlates with the room temperature, because this is something that's talked about to death. It's not even worth giving headspace to, because very obviously, I'd say being gay in Gaza is probably not a great experience. It's more familial problems that, by the way, exist in the West and are depicted by a huge amount of television to this day, where they show videos or like a lot of media about gay people is about families not accepting them. You think about how much homophobia there is going on. Like, look, yes, if you're gay in Gaza, there's probably more religious there's probably there's a higher amount of religious observance
utterly
in Gaza.
ridiculous.
And so people are going to probably be more homophobic. They probably are. I'm sorry, it's true. And that's not great. But simultaneously, what I will say is being under occupation, being under an apartheid state, and being exterminated on the basis of the fact that you're Palestinian is probably more important than that individual homophobia. You know? Like, it doesn't matter if you're gay or straight, Israel is going to abuse you. In fact, if you're gay, Blair Witch, I'll tell you this point. What do you think about Israel specifically finding gay men to blackmail from Gaza and the West Bank and use them as informants and threaten to tell their families, people around them, that they're gay unless they give Israel information? What do you think about that? I appreciate having something interesting to do while I do my laundry. Well, you're going to be having someone, if you're going to have to start doing your... I think you're going to have to start doing your laundry every day, because I'm going to be back going live every day. I'm also thinking I should stream on the weekends more and probably miss more of the week, but I don't know. Having bloody viral rhinitis is so solidarity with your allergies. I'm sorry to hear that, Thomas. I mean, yeah, I was actually saying to my girlfriend before this is the first day that my allergies haven't been that bad. I think I need to take a second hay fever tablet, though. Yeah, I think people in Gaza are preoccupied with surviving. Yeah, I think so too. This is less of a problem with queer people not talking about the issue and people who don't actually care about queer people not paying attention to it. Exactly! Like Netanyahu going, gay people are like chickens for KFC. Chickens for KFC. Do you hear that one? They're making chickens for KFC. Fucking insane. US oil is... Your only talking point is Zionism is bad. Yeah, of course Zionism is bad. What do you mean? They're doing genocide. They're ethnically cleansing the indigenous people. I would say that I know more and can give you more of a better explanation as to why Zionism is bad than you can fucking give of why it is like excuse me, sorry, what I was trying to say is that is just a talking point. That is literally just a fucking talking point. Being like gay people abused in these countries, so we get to kill them. That is just a talking point.
Account for $2.6 billion of the $9.1 billion, nearly a third of Iraq's oil revenue for that period. That's according to the Special Inspector General for Iraq Reconstruction. It also...
People act like the West cares about the LGBTQ plus. Knox, thanks for the $2. I mean, yeah, people do act like the West cares about, LGBTQ plus people. I don't think, I don't think Westerners mostly do. Or if they do, a lot of people who support Israel, their limits are trans people. You know, their limits are trans people, and trans people are part of the LGBTQ plus, and they matter too. I'm sorry, what? Pretending you have solidarity with gay people by supporting Israel? How does that fix gay people's lives? Thanks though, Knox, for the donation. It's fucking insane. I don't know. This is just room temperature IQ shit. Not to be a glazer, but doing master's dissertation in international relations right now, and the way you break down your meta expertise here and in No Politic is really helping with my defense presentation. Also, man, I'm glad to hear. Yeah, I don't know. You must not be in the UK if you're doing a defense of your master's dissertation. But good luck with it. I mean, I studied this for years, and I've spent years also thinking about how you fucking talk to people on the internet about this, which is not really what you do in academia. I sent the chat account to the BS. The chatter was saying because they don't care. Exactly. No, I agree with you, Knox. Sorry, I think it's a great donation. Thank you for your support. I wasn't angry at you at all. I don't know if other people are. Iran is good on trans issues only if you're super gender conforming and not gay or queer or anything. It's a bit of an awkward position. I actually think sometimes there's arguments that gay men are forced to become trans. I think I've heard that. How much information I don't really know on that. I don't really know. I'd have to look into that. But I think Iran is a funny one. What? The Oprah equivalent is a trans woman. I don't even know about that. Yeah, I mean, like, look, Israel is also this... I've also been thinking about one recently. Westerners in Britain love to be like, well, Britain ended slavery and shit, so we're moral, and the Arabs did slavery. But, like, key point here is... key fucking point here is that, like, we still supported apartheid South Africa when black people and people all the world, screamed at us that apartheid has to go. We still supported that. And if the best thing you can come up with is, well, we didn't support apartheid, we ended slavery a while ago, you're not doing too well, are you? Are you?
Found that the remaining more than $6 billion was poorly managed. Not just administrative negligence, it set a precedent that Iraq's own revenues could be administered outside Iraqi institutions. To date, revenue remains in dollar accounts at the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, creating a structural dependency. It goes further. Iraqi government reports suggest US officials have warned Baghdad Washington could restrict Iraq's access to oil revenues if Iran-aligned political actors make the Iraqi government. Blocking or delaying access.
By the way, sorry, I know a bit of whiplash, but this is just so objectively way better than stealing $9 billion in oil revenue. $9 billion in oil revenue is fucking shit in comparison to being able to say to a country, if you elect the Popular Mobilization Forces, if you legitimize this, we're going to collapse your economy. That is just so much better than... But I suppose one might make the argument that that's still stealing it, that you're controlling the money. But that's actually what matters, not the actual money, is kind of thing. The ending slavery thing is so stupid as well. There were plenty of African activists at the time as well that pushed hard. Yeah, and also that ending slavery was quite complex. Maybe I'll make a video about that. I don't know, the ending of slavery. But I'd have to read a lot about that. But then again, I'm really enjoying the research for No Politic here. I do like streaming, I really do. And it's a great way to, like, sort of do this and grow my presence for now. But maybe one day I'll go back to long form videos because I kind of enjoy it more, I enjoy it, but I also actually no, that's not true. I'm really enjoying streaming at the moment. I don't know, I just want an editor.
To dollar dominate.
Is that better? For the US, yes. Is that better? Wait. Is what better? If you're talking about the US controlling them, categorically, yes, it is better for them. Iraq cannot rebuild even the power network. They are pretty much like slaves. Yeah, but what I mean is that the $9 billion is just really something that doesn't... $9 billion is just really something that in the grand scheme of things does not fucking matter. It does not matter. Like, just the amount of money that they have, it just does not fucking matter. What matters for the US, but being able to control how a country rebuilds and holding this kind of influence and waving it over them is... Yeah. It's just it's just fucking insane.
Oil revenue could cripple the economy. Iraq cannot bypass the US dollar system. Its financial system is dollarized, meaning the local currency's value is pegged, and its central bank and government must comply with US anti-money laundering and sanctions norms to access.
By the way, I'm guessing Emirati dollars at AED aren't pegged to the dollar, or are they? Because the Emirates definitely are not abiding by US anti-money laundering rules. Like, categorically, the Emirates are not. So much money laundering goes on in the fucking United Arab Emirates.
Their own money. Analysts say Washington can use this as a bargaining chip in negotiations, particularly when it comes to Iraq's relationships with Iran and domestic militia groups. This is not theoretical. It is leverage rooted in Washington's regulatory authority over the global financial system. There's an important distinction here, as the US does not own Iraqi oil fields. US companies do not control production or export volumes, and Iraq remains responsible.
Yeah, look, I'm not enough of a NATO head, but I just want to say here that fucking, Isaac's video just vindicated by the way that fucking Mark Rutte is behaving right now.
For signing oil contracts and setting output through its national institutions. The leverage is financial and regulatory, not military occupation or seizure of assets. And it gives the US a chokehold over Iraq's core national revenue stream. It's also a tool of geopolitical pressure which can be used to influence how Baghdad balances relations with Tehran, Moscow, and domestic political coalitions. In Russia, the US is trying to control the oil, making it harder to sell and less profitable. In Venezuela, the US effectively holds the oil. And in Iraq, the US holds the money from the oil.
Sorry, I'm just looking at... I'm just looking at my favourite content creator, Oh.
One of the richest oil fields in the world is in southern Iraq. It's called Majnoon, which means
fuck it, started doing this thing. Hold on, I need to pop out the chat. Give me a second. I gotta pop out the chat because it's crashing again. Or I'll try refresh. Hold on, this might fix it. Let's have a look. Oh, fuck me. Oh, Jesus. Oh, fuck me. Having some issues. All Gulf sells in dollars. Basically, Iran started to sell in euros somewhat. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Sell what in dollars? What are you talking about? Oil? I'm talking about the currency system being pegged to the dollar, not whether they sell in dollars. Not to be incredibly obvious, but this oil thing seems incredibly unethical. Yeah, you don't say. Of course it is, and it's also just controlling a country. It's just deciding what people's lives will be like there. And loads of people will just... Oh my god! Can you guys hear me still? Yeah, you definitely can. I'm just having a bit of an issue. Majnoon. MacBook is frying itself right now. Too many Labubus in chat. No, it's not the Labubus. It's, I don't know, YouTube seems to develop this issue where it just sometimes, like, crashes a bit. And like, I can't see it, but it's actually back. It's back. Wow. Hold on. Have a look at this. Male masturbation may have an adaptive benefit. It flushes out damaged stored sperm. Holy shit. Henry, good to see you as always. Especially when we get news like this. Oh, wow. Holy shit. Brilliant stuff. I have never heard anything like it. Has an awful memory leak. It'll just spontaneously die. Yen or just yuan. Chinese yuan, not yen. YouTube service improves if you have more than 1k viewers, apparently. I'm sure we'll be able to get up to that. I don't think people are that fond of the streams here. But, it's grown so much. Sorry, I'm popping in as in. It's 1 p.m. I want one. Right. Politics news I come to this channel for. Hell yeah. Also, regular Jackson. Yeah, wow. Will it flush out the microplastics? No. You live with the microplastics forever. You live with them. Matt Smith, I've said... Oh, God. Right, okay. Also, right. So, by the way, I think there's going to be a ground invasion as well. Pretty fucking soon. I'm going to actually add this to the title. Ground invasion soon. Hold on. I'm just fiddling. I'm your wicked Uncle Ernie. Unc's got to get his fix in. Hell yeah. The UAE dirham is officially pegged to the US dollar at a fixed rate of... Yeah, they also just do, like, anti-money laundering and just do as... Sorry, they are definitely not obeying anti-money laundering. The UAE loves money laundering. So, the IRGC Navy bases in the Persian Gulf and near the Strait of Hormuz are eventually coming under heavy bombardment by both air power and surface-to-air precision missiles. However, amazingly, in this and several other cases, the direct boat-launched tunnel entrances are still intact. These tunnels can be used to launch large numbers of heavily armed speedboats and explosive USVs in minutes. So this is showing the base. This overview highlights... But this was a devastating strike package hit this on March 15th. That was ages ago. So, yeah, detailing the damages. So, basically, the US has hit Iranian bases very, very, very hard. Shows hits that has been struck by the airbase. Of course they've struck this. I mean, I'm not surprised. I don't know why that's like a surprising story to anyone. I used to live there. What's the deal with Qatar? What do you mean, what's the deal with Qatar? In what context? In terms of what's going on now? Qatar's always been a bit of like an oddity and a wary nation in the GCC because Qatar basically are backers of Sunni Islamist politics. Like, some of those are democracies, some of those are like not democracies. They have a close relationship with Saudi, or a close growing relationship with Saudi and Turkey, because they're on the same axis, which is kind of anti-UAE axis now. No, 12 days ago is not ages ago, but in relative to like when this story came out. Ooh. Shahil Ben Ephraim is talking about this. The Chief of Staff warned last night the IOF is heading towards collapse within itself. Hold on. I just need to message someone quick. Can anyone briefly explain why the Lebanese government is acting so cucked to Israel? Money, and the threat of not being close to Israel and what that can inflict on you. That's basically it. That's what the Lebanese government is like. They chose to be closer to the US because there's consequences for supporting Palestine, and so they chickened out of it. They'd rather just side with Israel and the US because you get money from it. And yes, the UAE is not 80% immigrant workers and rich people. Are they really going to go for the island, though? They can't possibly just tell us, and Iran is their next move, right? Sorry.
It is utterly ridiculous.
Oh, someone just donated. The trial against Maduro and his and his wife started. Apparently it's a clown show panto. Yeah, I mean, it's fucked. The US government keeps banning Venezuela for paying for an attorney, and so Maduro can't get an attorney. That's it, basically. Sorry, just to quickly look. After 900 straight days of war, this is what the government has been told. By the way, thanks for the donation, Thomas, and thanks for letting me know. I didn't even know it started today. Reservists are being stretched to breaking point across multiple active fronts, simultaneously Gaza, Lebanon, Syria, the West Bank, and the Iranian front. No ultra-Orthodox conscription law has been passed, leaving thousands exempt from service in practice. The cabinet approved the legalization of dozens more outposts and farms in the West Bank, requiring additional troops to protect them. Jewish nationalist terrorism is surging in the West Bank, requiring an additional battalion to be deployed there, with possibly another needed soon. Mandatory service is set to shorten to 30 months in January 2027, the opposite of the IOF's request to extend it to 36 months. The government is avoiding passing necessary laws. Conscription reserves extended service largely due to political process related to Haredi exemption. Sorry. So basically, I mean, these are all really reasonable points and the shit we don't think of. Thank you. See, if none of you believe that I had a girlfriend, how did I just get water to appear out of nowhere? See, one empty glass and now one full. Sorry, excuse me. Isn't the IOF just going to make things worse with settler violence? Is that the point of them being there? It's also to protect the settlers. Like, if you don't have Israeli soldiers there, what can you do? What can you do? Like, Palestinian resistance groups all seem to have been crushed in the West Bank. So there were quite a few at one point, prior to October the 7th. There was the Lion's Den in Jenin, but I don't know what's become of it. Maybe it's just that most figures have been killed. I don't know. I actually don't know. There's been nothing out of the Lion's Den. The Jenin Brigades too, I don't know what's become of them. I'm just looking. Most of them have been killed, most notable figures in it, so it's perhaps the consequences of this, like that there just aren't like that there's nothing that they can do, that there's nothing they can do to respond. But they also do need protection. They do need protection, the Israelis. This is the most important point, though. No ultra-Orthodox. The secular Israelis are still going to be so pissed about this. Or like secular, less religious. Chris Kunzler insinuates women are maids in Women's Month. Shocking. I know, what a horrible man I am, forcing my girlfriend to stop whatever the fuck she's doing and bring me a damn water. Israel is using the ground war just like in Gaza. They still can't go in and control it all. No, Israel used the ceasefire in Lebanon. This is the crazy thing, by the way. Israel used the ceasefire in Lebanon basically as a way to destroy loads of the villages that they couldn't actually conquer. And there are like quite a lot of videos of Merkava tanks being hit because Hezbollah has more anti-tank guided missiles that no doubt it has built up over a while. They can hit a tank and you can like injure a lot of Israelis in that way. I don't know. I think that this is going to be a tragic... that there's going to be consequences for Israelis that are going to be really tough. They definitely want, and there's definitely an appetite to finish off Hezbollah, but it's also a complex and long process, and they've been fighting for a very long time. Bottle of water. Bring me a damn water. You know it. You know it. What do you think my text said? I said, shut the hell up and bring me a damn water. And I got a water, which I'm drinking. Even the seculars must believe that at some level God promised the land. Why else would they move there? I mean, there's a multitude of different reasons. You don't really... Probably the majority of Israelis are not actually that religious. Like, they're just probably not. I don't think so, at least. I don't think the vast majority of them are that religious. But that is a growing number. That is a growing number. Imagine if Egypt wasn't cut. I know. But Egypt's been cut for such a long time. Egypt has been such a cut country for such a long time. Look at how fucking weird Americans were about Manifest Destiny. I mean, yeah. They definitely were very weird about Manifest Destiny. I think the truth is even if you're not religious, you can recognise the religious aspect of it. Theodore Herzl was not religious, but he came to see himself as a religious figure and a man like imbued with it, and a lot of other people say that. But also a lot of them just believe that they have a right, that they're indigenous and stuff, even though that's obviously bullshit. That's obviously the biggest amount of bullshit imaginable. But just looking at this, I do think Lebanon could be a disaster. In terms of, I saw as well, hold on, someone made this point of the Litani River. So apparently all those bridges that they blew up, I saw Elizabeth Surkoff saying this. Elizabeth Surkov, who is someone who was captured by the Popular Mobilization Forces in Iraq, who everyone said was a Mossad spy, and I didn't believe, but now it actually looks like she was with her behaviour on the fucking internet. She was saying something interesting. Where is it? Oh. So she pointed out some Israeli military analyst, based on his sources, has said that blowing up the bridges over the Litani came too late, as Hezbollah fighters already moved south and won't stop future movement of fighters since the river isn't that deep and wide. These strikes undermined the weak Lebanese state by bombing its infrastructure, caused harm to civilian population depending on these bridges, including the members of communities hostile to Hezbollah, yet did not make an effective contribution to military action. Oh, and yeah, on the ground invasion, yeah, I think it is. I think it is I think it is like probably going to happen. Free trip, Palestinian house, and honeypot wife. See Ethan Klein. Yeah, I mean, like living in the West Bank, there are a multitude of different tax breaks that you get from going to the West Bank. That's why some settlers live there. You get cheap land, you get a view, you get nicer land that isn't in some city and really expensive. You get more bang for your buck. So not everyone there is like some ideological settler, but they're all participating in the same project. And yes, it's racial supremacy. it's also just like a colonial mindset of believing that, you know, certain groups are inferior to you and that you're superior. You know, it's like this real colonial mindset that lives very strongly in their minds. You know, by the way, also another announcement that seems to point to the ground invasion you asked. UAE, our current travel advisory for the UAE is at a level 3, reconsider travel. If you choose to remain, you should be prepared to shelter in place in a secure location. Seems like the UAE is going to be involved. Yusuf Al-Attaiba wouldn't be writing op-eds about why they're going to get involved if the Emirati government didn't allow it. The UAE is a controlled authoritarian society. It points to the fact that there is going to be an invasion. More when than if the point. It's just like American settlers from Europe. They were promised free or cheap land that was unattainable back home. Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. I don't think you're wrong at all. Between Marines and paratroopers, right? That seems like an incredibly optimistic number of forces needed to conduct anything. That's why it'll probably be some kind of special raid. Maybe a raid to capture an Archie or to capture Ghalibaf, or to do something like that, to capture a significant figure, to capture a military figure, maybe to go and take some kind of the uranium. The uranium, maybe they want to take that from them, but I don't know. There's a multitude of different things that it could be. I don't know. I think it's really interesting. I think as well, yeah. I think that this is going to happen. I think that they're going to put boots on the ground. The other person was Nancy Mace having like a meltdown on Twitter. And Nancy Mace posted like 3 times in a row about it, right? She posted... Nancy Mace, the lady who had a lot of beans that one time, said, just walked out of the of a House Armed Forces Services briefing on Iran. Let me repeat, I will not support troops on the ground, even more so after this meeting. You know, I will, and she also posted, I will not support South Carolina's sons and daughters to war in Iran. Sending them to war in Iran. I won't do it. President Trump has been enormously successful so far, but we cannot allow the Washington war machine to turn Iran into another Iraq. It's also, by the way, it's creating this moment of sunk cost fallacy. Like, a lot of Iranians have died. A lot of significant senior politicians have died. Ali Khamenei has died. Anyone who's a big believer is like, he will not die in vain. We are going to continue this until we get something that's beneficial to us. And so the US is in this complex situation. Yeah, she wants to send the non-binary army. You're right, Raim Liam. Yeah, that's it. The justifications presented to the American public for the war in Iran were not the same military objectives we were briefed on today in the House Armed Services Committee. This gap is deeply troubling. The longer this war continues, the faster it will lose the support of the American people. Yep, I mean, it's not that it's the case. It's obviously not the case that the main objective is now to open the Straits of Hormuz. Like, that's what the objective is. That's literally closed. It's literally closed because of American action. This was mentioned yesterday. Evan Hill posted it. US officials tell the Washington Post, they no longer believe it is possible to achieve the war's original goals of overthrowing the Iranian regime and putting its nuclear program out of reach. The thing is you can kill people, but you can't destroy the research. Not losing the war, but they might overestimate how strong the offensive options are. You think they can force change? Yes. I think because your offensive options don't actually need to be that tough. I don't think your offensive options need to be that significant. I think what you need to be able to do is to inflict pain on the Americans. And I think that the way that they do that is through the economy. And I think already the problems are there. I think the problems already exist. I'm so scared, y'all. Unfortunately, this is the world in which we live. I worry for Iranians. I worry for the people who live on Kharg Island. I worry for people, but unfortunately, the American empire, for as long as it's allowed to keep existing like this, yeah. But yeah, I mean, oh, actually, no, you're right. America has won. I should have thought of that. I don't get how anyone is still in support of this war. There are students on my campus in support of intervention still, and like, how many people have to die until you think it's a bad idea? I mean, infinite amounts, because they believe in fictitious notions that Iran killed 30, 40, 100,000 of its own people. They believe that Iran is responsible for all of the problems in the Middle East. It's these real fantasies that people have in their heads. People live in these fantasies where there's like one group that blocks the realization of a perfect future. And some leftists do it as well, or people who are like pro-Palestine. They're not really going to be leftists, who genuinely believe that if Israel didn't exist, that everything would be fine, that the American empire would be good. But it's not the case. It's not the case on how Hezbollah is resisting. I'm not clued in. I mean, Israel is carrying out massive destruction in southern Lebanon, but it seems that Hezbollah has been able to reconstitute quite well. Like, really quite well, from the point that it was at last year of, like, losing Nasrallah and stuff. And I think, you know, we mentioned that other point earlier of, like, how Israel's been fighting for a long time. Israelis don't really like soldiers dying, and if there's a considerable amount of soldiers dying, it will inflate this. It will inflate this and cause problems for the Israelis. It is a start. Right, yeah, Israel going is good, but that doesn't realise the perfect future, and I think you're foolish and living in a fantasy if you really think it's just Israel, because the American empire is so much bigger than just Israel, you know. Are there any substantiated... Look, some people quibbled with the HRANA, and I remember looking into it. The HRANA did refuse to release their methodology. There are some problems with it, but they've driven down their figures quite considerably. Now, they're saying that 6,488 people have been killed. 76 protesters, military and government forces killed 207. By the way, if there was a protest where 207 Israeli security forces were killed, Israel would respond by killing this many people as well. Like, categorically, they would. They wouldn't even call it they wouldn't even call it a they wouldn't even call it a they wouldn't even call it that. They wouldn't even call it a protest. They call it as an intifada where every poor Jewish person was killed ever. Would Ansar Allah join the war if there was a ground invasion? I mean, Ansar Allah are more, in my opinion, right? And I'm just kind of guessing here, or using, you know, making educated guesses. I think that in what Ansar Allah represent, the Houthis, are basically a force that can be used to hit Saudi Arabia and the Gulf nations. I think that that's what it is. I think that the Houthis can cause problems for them. They've been negotiating a solution with the Saudis, but they know if they're left without Iran, they're going to be in a weaker state where they won't have like another, you know, a power backing them, and they'll be under threat. Like, the Houthis are not entirely controlled or like puppets of Iran. They're not a proxy. It's not actually true. It's a stupid word to say. But obviously they do have a relationship with Iran. Iran helps them in ways, and, you know, I think it's mostly like training advisors and support like that. But the Houthis will be able to get involved, and it's interesting that they haven't, because obviously they're going to be on the side of Iran, like they are, because they're the Houthis and they're like in the orbit of Iran, you know. So I think that it remains like a threat to Saudis, and it remains a threat to the Emiratis, and it remains a threat to the Americans. For any Western country, not just Israel, if that many police officers died at the event, would it be called an act of terrorism? Yes, it would. It would. But, by the way, the 30,000 number isn't true. A lot of people were killed, and I don't think it diminishes or makes it acceptable if 6,000 were killed. And I don't think it makes it acceptable even if security forces were killed. It's not acceptable. Yeah. Yeah, they're Zaidi. Not, I know they're not. I know that they're not 12 Shias. It's like where they come from. It's the collapse of the Zaidi Imamate and the marginalization of northern tribes in Yemen. That's like what the Houthis are. This notion that they're Iranian puppets like implanted in the Middle East is genuinely moronic. Like, it is genuinely moronic. It is something that is literally told to you by people who don't know anything about the Middle East to make you think Iran is the evil puppet master. That's how people see Iran, and that has to be pushed back on. Because I think you can condemn and talk about, like, violence being carried out by the Iranian government without saying that, you know, without claiming that it's this big evil responsible for all of the ills, because that's simplistic, and it plays into this big other stuff. This big other stuff is wrong, because this big other that kind of just like blames one thing, even like, by the way, just the US empire being defeated, it also goes beyond that with capitalism. The US empire being defeated would be beneficial for a huge amount of people all over the world. That is categorically undeniable. But yeah, it's more like 3,000, and a lot of those were astroturfed and attacking police. Perhaps, but, you know, obviously you also have this thing of like, you know, historically the security forces have attacked and caused major issues for the major issues for protesters before. But yeah, you're right. The whole point about citing 30,000 is to be like, Iran has killed so many of its own people that it's incomparable to anything that's ever been done before. And like, because as well, this is a large number of people, right? Like 6,000 people. Let's say it is that. Let's say HRNA has a huge document, ostensibly counting the exact number of people who were killed, and I think it's like 1,000 pages, their document. I don't know if this is it, but you can find it, and it goes through all of the people that they've confirmed, or that they say that they've confirmed. Anyway, the Egyptians did a similar massacre of people, not as large as that, but they did a huge massacre of protesters. They did. Crazy Yemen has a huge diversity, and so does the whole region. That's why sectarianism. Yes, of course, sectarianism is bullshit. Someone asked me, like, oh, will you explain why you don't like nation states on your YouTube live? The answer's pretty fucking simple. The reason I don't like nation states is because states are so multi-ethnic now that the notion that the state should serve the nation, like one people who constitute it, is wrong and stupid. It's just wrong. It's wrong and incorrect. But the thing is like, historically, the Iranian government have killed like sizable numbers of protesters. There's like the day of protest, they killed apparently around 1,500 people. It's not implausible that the Iranian government would do this. Like, it's not. But yeah, it's a weird contradiction where over 200 military personnel were killed, but no protesters were militant infiltrators. How did the security personnel? Of course there were people in Israel. Israel like openly says, "Oh, we were wanting to inflame protests inside Iran as a means to collapse the government." Like, they do openly state this, and the whole point of sanctions is to do that. You know, so there's the whole point of it. I hope so too. Kurdish people have been screwed over so much. Yeah, I also think that like anyone who's a leftist and is kind of just like adoring Iran should look into the Kurdish experience and like why a Kurd might choose to engage in militancy against the Islamic Republic or the Iranian state more generally, because their experience has not been good. It's been one of marginalization, and if you look into the like hyper exploitation of the Kurdish regions, it's really, really bad. And I know a lot of good people from that place who told me about the experience. You know, it's tough. Iran cannot work as the Persian nation state. It's got too many native non-Persians. Exactly, which is why the whole thing about like the Shah returning is fictitious, because the Kurds, realistically, Kurds have more political sway inside of Iran than diaspora Iranians do, because they don't fucking live there, and Kurds don't want the Shah. Kurds don't want the Shah.
We have a
You guys are going to be saying that I'm muted. What did you mean by Kurds were the Shah of Iran? I love the idea that the Americans had a multi-stage step coup plan in place that ended with a massive bombing campaign and invasion, which failed at step one, and they're going ahead with it anyway. I mean, maybe, I don't know. Iran cannot work as a contemporary modern nation state. They have to be something else, whatever that is. A state that's separated from the nation. A state that's separated from the nation. A state that doesn't serve specifically the nation. That's what it has to be. That's what you have to be. That's what you have to build and make. And in the context of Israel doesn't work as a nation state. No nation state really works. And it will lead us towards barbarism once again. Also, by the way, here's Trump talking some shit with the gang.
Coalition for them, but they should have been up here a long time ago. And you know, they're affected. The amazing thing is we don't need the Hormuz Strait. We don't need it. We don't need it at all. We have so much oil. Our country is not affected by this. We have more.
By the way, this is complete and utter cope and lies being told to the American people. Complete and utter cope being told to the American people. America is very, very, very much affected by the closure of the Straits of Hormuz. We all know this.
We have twice the amount of oil as Saudi Arabia or Russia, and soon it'll be 3 times the amount. Chris, do you want to speak to them? Well, we have a coalition for them, but they should have been.
This is just, like, straight up, like, obviously farmers are affected, obviously helium, chip production, so much of the American government and the American economic system is categorically going to be affected by this. Like, the fact that they're just saying, no, it's not affected by this is insane. Like, by the way, I think the Germans are kind of, this guy's the best indication of it. This is the German defense minister talking about this. Just listen to what he has to say.
To make it crystal clear, this war is a catastrophe for the world's economies.
This is the same fucking hawkish government that was saying Israel was doing the dirty work of Europe.
The impact is absolutely evident already now after a little bit more than 2 weeks. The closure of the Hormuz Strait has an impact for all the region in the Indo-Pacific, including Australia. So this is a real impact, and at the same time, the European partners and Germany as well highlighted from the beginning on. We have not been consulted before. Nobody asked us before. It's not our war. And therefore, we don't want to get sucked into that war, to make it crystal clear. And what we need is now a diplomatic solution as soon as possible. We need end of shooting and killing. And that is addressed to US, of course, but mainly to EU.
Yeah, I mean, it touched their money. Obviously, this is not a moralistic Germany being upset. But the problem is that this is real. This is consequential. Anyone who's telling you otherwise is just all about cope. No, I didn't see what did DW Politics reply. Can you say, Yadav?
Iran, which is attacking its partners in the region.
Al Jazeera got some little music at the end. Dun, 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 dun. By the way, Al Jazeera have just taken all of Middle East Eye staff recently. Like, a huge amount of the Middle East Eye people now work there. And good for them. Like, a lot of the Middle East Eye people are brilliant. So also, I saw this earlier and I was like, okay, well, what's going on here? So over 500 gas stations in Australia have now run out of fuel as the nation's fuel crisis worsens. Of these, 187 have completely run out of diesel, while 32 service stations have run out of all types of fuel. Now, at first I was like, okay, right. Is this true? And then literally straight after, I just fucking saw the Australian news saying, look at this.
As you can see that every single one of those has either covered up or they have a sign on it saying no petrol. Everything is out of service. There is no fuel whatsoever here at the Ampol in Cherrybrook.
On getting fuel to where it needs to be. From Queensland to South Australia, nearly 250 service stations are out of diesel. Those who can get it are paying dearly.
This is just like so important. Like, American can sell you whatever cope it wants. It's disconnected from reality. And my God, it's weird you mentioned that, Pravenda, because I was actually going to comment on that. Like, just these people think AI is God. Like, I don't think that people are really realizing this enough. For a lot of people, AI is like some kind of god that knows exactly what's going on with everything. No matter how many times it's proven unreliable, they actually think that that proves their point more, and that everyone is lying to them, and that Grok and whoever is the only trustworthy news source. They literally are it's God to them. Like, it's God. It's the omnipotent, all-knowing, brain of humanity. By the way, I saw, when I was watching History Revealed do it last night, stream, I just saw him, like, typing and read out a ChatGPT fucking statement. Like, these people just... You can build a career out of ChatGPT.
Approximately 30,000 litres a month. It's $1 a litre dearer than what we've paid 3
I hope Hyper-J is doing okay as well. To clarify, this is not Hyper-J in the video.
weeks ago.
Surging diesel costs hurting the transport sector too. Unions demanding government intervention to ensure drivers are compensated.
Take a look at those Bowsers. You can see that every
Where's Greg McGregor at when you need him? Greg McGregor was constantly going on about how we should all fill up our bathtubs with oil, and maybe after all he was right. By the way, I'm not showing this because Reuters copyright is a bastard, but a South Korean plastic film factory has cut production to 20-30% of capacity due to raw material shortages caused by the Iran war and disruptions in the global energy market. I also quite like this whole thing of like saying it's caused by the Iran war. Like, yeah, true, but I also think that the other thing is that like this is caused by Israeli-American adventurism. Like it is. Didn't OpenAI shut down their AI-generated video tool recently? Or did I fall for misinformation? No, I think that they did. Sora, I think they did. And by the way, hi, Violist. I hope you're good. I forgot to say hi when you were in. Now you're right. They shut down Sora. Yeah, it's the American war. So Iran is effectively fighting microplastics. Iran fighting microplastics is like... is it Canute who couldn't turn the tide? King Canute and the tide. He couldn't turn the tides. That's like trying to fighting microplastics is like trying to fight against gravity or the tide. You ain't doing it. It's not possible. It's actually impossible. I have an uncle who's obsessed with Al Jazeera, and so we got him a gutra. He's this white Afrikaner in a gutras. I'm not reading out that last bit. What the fuck is a gutra? I feel like I will know what it is. A gutra. Oh, like a traditional... is a thaub... thaub. What's the difference between a gutra and a thaub? Is the ankle length. Oh, okay. So a gutra is a traditional headscarf. Oh, I see. Because they were showing it and it's like the wrap around the head. Yeah, but ultimately we can't beat gravity. Iran can stop some kind of microplastics. I've also gone through 10 litres of Gaviscon. My grandfather is in severe pain. Not a loss of making it. Yeah. I think ending microplastics is impossible. It's like, even if you live off grid, you consume microplastics. Have any of you seen that? Like, even if you like completely remove yourself from society, you are going to consume microplastics, which is insane to think about. Very positive, I assume. A very good development for the world. And sorry, just like, does this have any? Does this have anything? No, it doesn't. I had a friend who died of heartburn. Did you? Is that true? Oh, fuck off. Grey Flash. Mods, get his ass. Get his ass. Cav is gone. Get his ass. Grey Flash, you're done. So apparently, Yemen's Houthi movement are ready to strike shipping in the Red Sea in solidarity with Tehran, one Houthi leader tells Reuters. So this is apparently it. So here's the quote. We stand fully militarily ready with all options. As for other details having to do with determining 0 hour, they are left to leadership, and we are monitoring and following up with the developments, and will know when is the suitable time to move. By the way, how on earth are Saudi Arabia going to join when this is on their border? got beat by flying lawnmowers and now crying. Yeah, I mean it's really something. Who said there was no more American innovation? Yeah. No, I'm joking. You obviously don't need to ban Grey Flash. That's funny. That's a funny joke. I just can't believe I fell for it, that someone could die of... I actually assume you probably could die of heartburn. You can pretty much die of anything, you know. Who was that philosopher who got hit on the head by like a turtle or something and died? Poor guy. Did any of you see this? This was a quality Trump video. I've been liking what Trump's up to.
But they're doing it for two reasons. No, number one is they want to deflect from all of the tremendous success that we're having in this military operation. I won't use the word war because they say if you use the word war, that's maybe not a good thing to do. They don't like the word war because you're supposed to get approval. So I'll use the word military operation, which is really what it is. It's called a military decimation.
Did you end up watching the Bad Empanada video? Not yet. I keep seeing fucking clips from it from Twitter, and he looks so fucking funny. There's like a photo of him holding a backpack talking to Cuban guys. It looks like a really interesting video, and I will watch it at some point. It's just I'm just in Montreal at the moment, and I'm with my girlfriend. So like when I'm done streaming, I kind of chill with her. And yesterday I was reading tons about Vietnam and Cambodia, because that's what the next episode of No Politic here is about, the Vietnamese intervention in Cambodia, which we're recording tomorrow. But I watched one of his other videos as well. I watched his video about like the 5-star hotel thing. It was I think that the comment was stupid, and I do get the point he was making. I think Code Pink and the organisers' argument is they all wanted to be in one hotel, and he got it wrong. The hotel they stayed in isn't on the sanctions list. You can actually look that up. It's not. The New York Times reported what hotel it was. You can look into it. It seems like they're telling the truth, but I still think the way it was phrased, like we had to stay there, the American government makes us stay there, isn't true. It's just like because of what they were doing, apparently that's why they needed to, like what they were doing. Yeah, but anyway, I will check it out. It looks like a great video. That Vietnam lady, the GI Your Government Has Abandoned lady, love her, Hanoi Hannah. I accidentally called her Taiwan Tammy one time, which is the character from Always Sunny. Disney is putting out of the... Apparently, the $1 billion that was set to be invested in the... $1 billion that was set to be invested in the... of Disney and OpenAI never appeared. No, my girlfriend would watch stuff anyway. I just don't think she watches that much Bad Empanada. Like, she would have at one point, but probably not that much now. As I've said, I don't really agree with some stuff, like especially the Calla Walsh stuff. I don't think Calla Walsh is just awesome. I don't think going to Iran and being like, Iran is perfect is a great idea. I think warts and all is the best way to portray it. No, so the hotel didn't change its name. Bad Empanada quoted the wrong hotel. So that was the one that was initially said, but the one that is on there is an Iberostar, but it's not on there for some reason. Anyway, who knows? What was I going to say? I do also think vis-a-vis Cuba, it's like, it is fucking insane that this is kind of where discourse ends up. Like, Bad Empanada's videos that probably end up attracting more attention end up being short form stuff about Hassan, which, you know, is a point of like pointing to stuff and certain things, but also the other thing is it's like right now Cubans are like being starved by the US government and being denied oil. And sorry, just on this special fucking military operation thing, it is fucking insane. It is insane that Trump like openly admits this, and you still have people who go out and make the claim that apparently the US government is not invading a country, is not invading his country. I think it's fucking insane. Also, by the way, these signs have appeared near a military base in Fairford where US B-52H and B-1B warplanes have been regularly flying from. US war crimes base. I like that. Resistance of the Cambodian War. Yeah. The atrocities of the Cambodian War. I mean, it's more about, like, I've been reading more, because obviously Vietnam occupied Cambodia for 10 years. And I was reading this Vietnamese guy who asked Cambodians about their opinions of the Vietnamese occupation, and it's fucking funny reading them, I'm going to be honest. It's really interesting. I saw that maybe Russia will try to get oil to Cuba. I kept seeing stuff like that, but then it not materialising.
It is utterly ridiculous.
With oil actually going there. G.I., why are you here? You should be at home with your honey eating hamburgers. By the way, and drinking milkshakes. The longer you are away, the more chance they will be that she will be with another boy. Elephant Fish, thanks for the 100 NOK. The problem with Hanoi Hannah, though, is like, I think Walter Benjamin talks about how Dadaism could never fully express itself with the tools at hand. I think Hanoi Hannah, I'm going to be honest, was too before her time. Because if Hanoi Hannah existed now, I think she could sit there and talk about Jeffrey Epstein. And I think that talking about Jeffrey Epstein is the biggest boon. Because the reason talking about Jeffrey Epstein is funny is because obviously American soldiers aren't actually dying for Jeffrey Epstein. But it's such a good point of, like, the absurdity that Americans are not really dying for a coherent thing. And I completely understand, like, people who are very combative towards veterans and stuff. And I really don't get the Platner stuff. I really don't get the Platner stuff of, like, Platner being, like, kind of thinking he should be a leader. I know we've talked this to death, so anyway. But, like, that he should be a politician in the US. But simultaneously, I do think that there is this element of just appealing to Americans of, like, you die for nothing. Like, if we existed in like, kingdoms, like, you know, you literally die for the maintenance and the extension of, you know, the specific king. What the hell is an American dying for? Are they dying because Israel drove them to war? Maybe in part. Are they dying also because, you know, the US government is obsessed with maintaining Israel's influence in the MENA region? I think that's, like, objectively true. Dying for all of Epstein's best buddies. Exactly. Pointing to Epstein is not to say you are dying for Epstein. It is this absurdity. It is this absurdity of, like, just saying, like, fuck off. Like, you die for nothing. You die for absolutely nothing. In the UK. Wait, what did you just say? EMCUAEY. American boots on the ground in the UK is a great risk because Americans don't know that we drive on the left-hand side of the road. Yes, and also the American might go postal if they find out that we don't have, like, fucking 50 billion grams of sugar in our Pepsi or our Coke or whatever. Before I forget, have you informed your constituency? Oh, yes, I accidentally spread a joke about Zach Polanski's middle name being Theodore Herzl. I thought it was, but it's not, as it turns out. Is their literal dad, and they get angry. I've always made this point that I don't think you should treat anyone like that, you know, you should be criticising anyone, and no one is perfect, and I think that that's something that perhaps I appreciate more, that I don't agree fully with the things, every single thing that a person does, you know, and I don't have to appreciate what they do. They die for the glory of the white race. I mean, in part, but, like, even now, one might problematize that by, like, a white nationalist would be like, well, there's way too many immigrants in America, so I'm not dying for the white race. So Jeffrey Epstein, that's who to pick. Because dying for freedom and democracy? Oh, come on. Come on. Like, Brazil prosecuted the JBS meatpacking owners, but the US let JBS build the monopoly, and now the workers are on strike. Of course everything is connected. And I think this is the point of, like, why I find, like, the underlying ideology of, like, you know, sort of leftism, left-wingers and Marxists, it's so much more appealing. This notion that we're all united as one together, as opposed to all being separate people from the country, from each country. And yes, Marcus Nelson, that is what they're dying for. They die ultimately for, like, the continuation of the capitalist empire as it exists. That's what it boils down to. You know, people joke about dying for BP's bottom line. It's not even really just BP, is it? You're dying for weapons manufacturing companies. You're dying for a multitude of different of different things that have nothing to do with the stated aims of your war. Police aligned 100% unity is impossible. Yeah, and I think you have to do... I think some of the certain red lines, like around Israel, has to be... You cannot really welcome in, Zionists. Like, I meet some older people who, like, perhaps don't understand it, and my instantaneous reaction to them is not to be like, fuck you for not fully getting it. I'll try and explain to them why, hey, it's not just like Netanyahu and stuff, and I like to try and do that, you know. We also did, like, a lot of this stuff at university, and my friend who was Palestinian just said, ask these people questions, because they don't know, you don't know the answer for the owners of those companies. But even then, it's not really specifically the owners. You are directly a test subject for them. Yes, you are directly a test subject. You're testing out their weapons on some other poor person whose probable interests are much more in line with yours than you realise. But because you're so propagandised to believe that you're superior to them, you genuinely believe that you have a right to, you know, fucking go and kill them. That you believe your country is superior. Netanyahu, that country in the Middle East that he talks about. Yeah, I mean, also, I fucking hate this fictitious notion that Israel went bad. I think at first I was very much entirely against it. However, however, what I do think is that there was a change after 1967, but it's largely to do with a reopened frontier. I think that that's it. I think that that's like literally it, that the frontier reopened and that's the major change. Like a major frontier. That Israel prior to this was focused on the colonization of lands conquered in 1948, and that's the change. But like Netanyahu taps into Jabotinsky, who Jabotinsky's innovation is basically to just say, stop being such wusses about admitting what we're doing and like why we're doing it. Why we're doing it. Overwhelming majority of people now posting about Palestine know very little about it. Yeah, and I think that unfortunately social media works in this way that people with nuanced opinions and people who have like a deep regard for Palestine and Palestinian history and culture are never going to be the people at the top of the posting and the understanding. And that's not even like speaking about myself here. There are a multitude of... In fact, it is speaking about myself in many ways, because there are a multitude of people who are so fucking stupid and are a detraction for Palestine, who are really, like, you know, who really shouldn't be commenting in the way they are and shouldn't be given the space to comment in the way they are. But also simultaneously, perhaps my behaviour is not always perfect and my carrying of myself. And there are so many people who know more about Palestine than myself, who are just so much better equipped, who could be in better position, who would be better placed. But yeah, it's tough. But speaking of Palestine, I have some heartwarming news.
The 10th barrage of Iranian ballistic missiles today alone. And this missile fire is coming as President Trump is speaking at a cabinet meeting at the White House about the possibility of diplomacy. And so while the president is talking about the prospects of peace, the Iranians are still launching missiles toward Israel. This is taking place as the Israelis work to shoot down the incoming fire. Some injuries reported earlier today during the barrages, and we wait now to see if yet more cluster munitions will be used against Israel or how the air defense systems here will fare. Right now there are alerts coming up I can see in Ashdod in southern Israel. And again, those sirens here in Israel's second largest city of Tel Aviv. Sirens are sounding right.
But what you have to realize is that what undergirds all of this is that on a base level, Israelis just believe that they are racially superior, and their ideology is just the same as like anti-trans people, racists and degenerates of all varieties, where what the basic contention is that there is some other who is really, really bad and blocks the realization of a perfect society. And in order to achieve that perfect society, anything is permissible against that evil other whose ideology and views are just so different to yours. The way that these people speak about Muslims, the way that they talk about, like, you know, that fucking Israeli guy who's talking to me about crime in the UK,
but they don't like the good
having risen as immigrants came. It's like, okay, first of all, probably concentrations of poor people. Maybe that does lead to a rise in it. people, maybe that does lead to a rise. But people have been coming to the UK for such a long time, and people who form the basis of even like Winston Churchill, he's a fucking Huguenot. He's children or tangentially related to immigrants. But it's okay because they're a democracy and a moral army. Yeah. And if Hitler Yahoo is confirmed unalive, I'll thank Supreme Leader personally. I mean, part of me just doesn't want to be like these people, where I end up just like celebrating Netanyahu's death and being like, Netanyahu's dead. I'd probably make a TikTok where I was excited, but the problem for me is I can't get this kind of catharsis because I really can't, like, I can't believe that this is it. That him being killed fixes everything. I just can't. Like, it would be good. It would be good, but I just, yeah. I don't know. Sounds familiar. Wasn't there a guy with a stupid little mustache? Yeah, and I'd recommend that people bother looking into what the guy actually said. I think when you say that, so loads of people are like, why would you say that? Because what he said is completely worthless. But what you actually find is a similarity in a lot of right-wing thought about others. I don't think they need an excuse to escalate anymore. Who needs an excuse to escalate? Immigrants are invaders. The irony. Well, also, Israelis aren't immigrants. Like, I hope people realise that. Israelis are settlers because they're not joining an existing polity. They are going to maintain and establish a polity that is totally new. By the way, Matthew Petty had a funny tweet. These guys will push for the most blatant rerun of Iraq or Libya, or in this case Cuba, and then accuse critics of obsessing too much over those examples. When I was watching History Revealed do debates last night, he was telling a guy that he couldn't talk about the invasion of what's going on in Palestine because it's a whole different conversation. When it's like, what do you think is happening right now? What do you think is happening right now? This is the country that was doing genocide not long ago. And apparently we can't talk about it, but they're still doing it, you know, and apparently you can't talk about it. Mr. Madiba once said political assassinations are fairly for achieving goals. Sabotage was what he preferred. Political assassinations can achieve a goal. It depends who you're assassinating. Like, assassinating someone who is like a guy with a huge amount of aura, it is tough. I don't think Khamenei was that. I think assassinating Khomeini actually would have been really, really bad for the Islamic Republic. But obviously Khomeini died a long time ago. But there'd already been succession in the Islamic Republic when Khamenei was killed. Obviously it wasn't, a dynastic kind of thing. It wasn't from son to son. It was from protege to from like the teacher to protege. But like simultaneously, this kind of notion that like killing Khamenei fixes things or killing Netanyahu. And by the way, I'm not diminishing anyone who's excited about people who are about people who would be like, yeah, Netanyahu's dead. I will feel a pang of happiness. Simultaneously, I also know that it won't fix everything, and it kind of tempers everything. In the same way that Ariel Sharon spent the last years of his life, you know, after having a debilitating stroke in a coma. Also, Hezbollah have hit northern Israel and have wounded 3 Israelis. By the way, the amount of Israelis wounded, 15 Israelis have injured, 1 is dead, 1 is in a critical condition in Nahariya, following a Hezbollah barrage, 3 wounded in a separate drone attack. Do you remember when Hezbollah fired into like the Israeli fucking mess hall when they were all eating and killed loads of Israelis eating? That was crazy. What happened to Alika? This is proof she was paid. Alika's still there, she's just doing crap now. Reminds me of Destiny pressing aside the huge power imbalance between Israelis and Palestinians when he was getting embarrassed by Adam Friedland. Because power isn't necessarily everything. Like, you know, the Islamic State weren't necessarily powerful, but they were like, you know, the Islamic State were probably made up predominantly of Middle Easterners who'd been colonized, but their beliefs were atrocious and horrifying and like apocalyptic, you know, really, really bad shit. But simultaneously, in the context of Palestine, Israel is an apartheid state. You are really hard pressed to admit that Israel isn't an apartheid state. If, like, someone like Lonabox, right, claims that Israel is not an apartheid or tries to pour, like, cold water over that. But the hard reality of Israel being an apartheid state is that these people who are, like, the smarter amongst them will admit, like, well, in the West Bank, yeah, there's obviously differentiated laws. There's obviously these, you know, there's these different kinds of, there's these kind of like these laws that affect Palestinians so pronounced in the West Bank. But the thing is that like these people will just say, well, no, that's different. But that's what apartheid South Africa said. Apartheid South Africa's worst applications of apartheid were applied in the Bantustans. That didn't make it okay. That didn't make it acceptable. People believe apartheid is this fucking crime against humanity that humanity should have worked together to destroy. I'm conflicted on it. I don't think it should exist, but also it doesn't work in most cases for most people. It takes all types, but we also need some degree of unifying principles. Wait. I don't know if that was a response to me. But yeah, I mean, Netanyahu, of course, has no right dying of old age. But neither did Ariel Sharon. Like, Netanyahu is in a long line of very barbaric individuals. Ariel Sharon, like, personally, was actually responsible for atrocities like Sabra and Shatila, like, just straight up personal responsibility for that. And he lived from 1928, he was born, until 2014. So what's that, 86 years? And he died in a bed, you know, after having a debilitating stroke. The flavors work. That Fit TT, that salmon curry is so fire. That thing is so fire. Like, honestly, the way my girlfriend makes it, oh my god, oof. I hate the whitewashing of colonial history. In Zimbabwe, we learned about the very visceral horrors of apartheid, but also did a project on colonialists, like he was a good person. On a colonialist. Yeah, it's like Gertrude Bell, right? A lot of people have sympathy for Gertrude Bell, and Gertrude Bell is someone who was like part of a colonization system of Iraq, you know. Had a 48er, and it is very clear that there was systemic racism. Of course, it was like the guy who was like, well, I went to a protest as a Palestinian. It's like, well, obviously you're surveilled, you're harassed in different ways, and, you know, Israel applies all of these laws so differently, and they target, you know, an Israeli, I think the best example is, an Israeli can appear on television and say, genocide all Palestinians. But if a Palestinian says, I have solidarity with Palestinians who are suffering in Gaza, they'll probably be arrested and go to prison. There are like examples of literally that exact thing happening. Sorry, I'm just going to text my girlfriend. Oh, I'm not talking about that. My girlfriend, she says, tell the chat I made rapini and beans. I don't even want to talk about that. The rapini and beans was driving me fucking crazy. Oh, yeah. South Africa. Zendaya, actually. Wow. South African brands. Really? What, are they big on their oats, the South Africans? Crazy. I didn't know that shit. Also... Zuid Afrika. I'm Afrikaans, and I love biltong. I love my biltong. I actually quite like biltong, so shout out South Africans for biltong. I don't know where it came from, but in South Africa, but I've heard it is. God, I've just seen a video of Clavicular shirtless, and oh my fucking god. The guy's in insane shape, but apparently he's taking huge amounts of tren. Oh my fucking god. Also, by the way, apparently, according to, is this Reuters, I think? Apparently Reuters is saying that Iran is ramping its way up to a nuclear weapon. Apparently hardliners are talking about this, so it remains to be seen how true that is. I don't fucking know. The US still treats Native Americans or Aboriginal people in Australia like still impoverished, lack resources. Aboriginals are most likely to be arrested in or they have really high incarceration rates, and natives and indigenous people are generally treated fucking horribly. Cooking for him, and he has the audacity to complain his steak is too juicy, his lobster is too buttery. I don't like Rapini. Do you know anything about the South African and Israeli diaspora? No, I don't. I don't actually know much about the South African and Israeli diaspora. I really don't. Oh, he's taking huge amounts of Tren. Tren is a steroid which makes you way more muscular. It's like the guy will just die from like a steroid or like some kind of overdose. It's terrible, terrible, terrible for you. I don't see them making a nuke anytime soon. Yeah, I think maybe just possessing this amount of uranium is enough of a threat, and just being like constantly like, well, we're going to build it if you don't do anything. Anyway, I think that this will be the end of the stream. Thank you guys for all of the people who've watched and supported today, and always commented, whatever, donated to become members. This will probably be the last one with this microphone. There'll be one more episode of No Politic with this microphone. And then we are back. We are returning to the promised land of England, and I'll be streaming. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you all so much for everything, and I'll see you guys soon. Again, thank you so much.